Every time you silently label someone lazy, selfish, or stupid, you're tuning yourself to a station, and the broadcast on that station is playing on repeat inside your own body. The phrase, "Judge not lest ye be judged," has been quoted so many times it's become wallpaper. Background noise in Sunday school. A thing people say when they want you to stop criticizing them. But there's a mechanical principle buried inside that sentence that has almost nothing to do with morality and everything to do with what happens to your physiology when you hold a critical thought about another person. You've felt this. Think about the last time you watched someone do something you found contemptible. A stranger being rude to a cashier, a co-worker taking credit for work they didn't do. Remember what happened in your chest, that tightening, that heat behind your sternum. Your jaw clenched slightly. Your breathing shortened. You were watching someone else's behavior, but your body responded as though the threat was aimed at you. That reaction is the judgment locking in. Here's what makes this mechanical rather than metaphorical. When you observe behavior and label it, when you move from witnessing to categorizing, your body begins generating the emotional signature that matches the label. Contempt produces one chemical cascade. Disgust produces a third. Each one has a measurable effect on heart rate variability, immune function, and cognitive flexibility. You chose to judge someone else, and your own biology paid the invoice. The ancient instruction wasn't a rule about being polite. It was a description of a feedback loop. Consider how a tuning fork works. Strike one, fork at a specific pitch, place it near another fork tuned to the same frequency, and a second fork starts vibrating without being touched. Resonance. The first fork didn't decide to affect the second one. The physics just worked that way. Judgment operates on a similar principle. When you hold a sustained critical thought about someone, you begin resonating at the frequency of whatever you're condemning. You become a tuning fork for the very thing you despise. This is why chronically judgmental people look exhausted. Their faces carry a specific tension. You've seen it, that pinched quality around the mouth, the narrowed eyes that scan every room for evidence of something wrong. The body is maintaining a state of perpetual low-grade threat response because the mind keeps selecting targets. Each judgment is another strike of the fork. The vibration never gets a chance to dissipate. And this loop works in a direction most people never consider. When you judge someone for being greedy, part of your mind has to model greed in order to recognize it. You have to activate your own internal map of what greed looks like, feels like, operates like. That activation sends a signal through your system that is biochemically similar to actually experiencing greed. Your body can tell the difference between imagining a lemon and eating one, but the salivation happens either way. Judgment is the same. You model the sin to condemn it, and the modeling itself produces the resonance. This is why the most vocal critics of a behavior are so often caught engaging in that exact behavior. The televangelist railing against lust, the anti-corruption politician with offshore accounts, the parents screaming about dishonesty while lying to their spouse. The standard explanation is hypocrisy. The mechanical explanation is simpler. They were resonating at that frequency all along. The condemnation and the behavior were coming from the same tuning fork. So what frequency does non-judgment produce? Dr. Roland McCraty's research at the Heart Math Institute measured heart coherence patterns across different emotional states. When subjects held states of appreciation, compassion, or neutral observation, their heart rhythms became smooth and ordered, a sine wave pattern that synchronized breathing, blood pressure, and brain activity into a single coherent signal. When subjects held states of frustration, judgment, or contempt, the pattern became jagged and erratic, two different internal environments produced by nothing more than where you aimed your attention and what label you applied when it landed. The coherent state, the smooth one, correlates with enhanced immune response, better cognitive performance, and something researchers describe as increased intuitive access. The body is running efficiently. Resources go toward repair, creativity, and pattern recognition. The incoherent state diverts those same resources toward defense. You're spending metabolic energy maintaining a threat posture against someone who probably has no idea you're thinking about them. That's the cost of judgment measured in biology, not theology. Now take this principle and apply it to the phrase, "lest ye be judged." The traditional reading assumes an external judge, God, karma, other people who will turn the same critical eye on you. But the mechanical reading eliminates the need for any external agent. The judgment you pass is the judgment you receive. Because passing it, i.e. receiving it, the resonance is instantaneous. There's no delay, no karmic ledger, no divine scorekeeper. You struck the fork. You're vibrating, the consequence is already happening inside your ribcage before the critical thought finishes forming. This reframes the entire instruction from a warning into a description of physics. Don't touch the hot stove or you'll get burned. Sounds like a rule. It's actually just a description of what heat does to skin. Judge not, lest ye be judged. Sounds like a moral command. It's actually just a description of what criticism does to the critic, and the inverse is equally mechanical. When you observe someone's behavior without labeling it, when you witness without categorizing, something unusual happens. Your body stays in its baseline state. No chemical cascade, no threat posture, no fork struck. You see the rude customer, the dishonest coworker, the failing stranger, and you register the information without generating the resonance. The data enters. The emotional charge doesn't. This is what contemplative traditions call equanimity, the ability to perceive without reacting, to see clearly precisely because the lens of judgment has been removed, and the people who cultivate this state report something consistent across centuries and cultures. They start perceiving more. Details they missed when they were busy categorizing. Patterns they couldn't see when every observation got immediately sorted into good or bad, right or wrong, worthy or worthless. Judgment narrows the visual field. Observation widens it. You've experienced both. Think about someone you love unconditionally. A child, a pet, a person you've decided to accept completely. When they make a mistake, you see it clearly. You might even address it. But the internal resonance is different. There's no fork vibrating with contempt. Your body stays coherent. You respond from clarity rather than reactivity. The behavior gets addressed without the critic getting poisoned in the process. Now think about someone you've decided to judge. Every action they take gets filtered through the label you've assigned. They could do something generous and you'd find the selfish motive behind it. The judgment has become a lens, and that lens only shows you evidence that confirms the frequency you're already vibrating at. You're locked in, seeing only what the tuning fork allows. Critics assume they're standing outside the thing they condemn, pointing at it from a safe distance. The frequency model reveals the opposite. Every pointed finger is a tuning fork vibrating in sympathy with its target. The distance is an illusion. The resonance is the reality. So the practical application strips away 2,000 years of moralizing and leaves something almost embarrassingly simple. Each time you catch yourself forming a judgment, you have a choice about which fork to strike. The critical one locks you into the frequency of whatever you're condemning. The observational one keeps the channel open. One contracts your biology. The other expands your perception. The ancient teachers who encoded this instruction into scripture may have lacked the vocabulary of heart coherence and resonance patterns. They had something better: centuries of watching what happens to people who spend their lives cataloging the sins of others. Those people become rigid, bitter, small. Their world shrinks to the size of their complaints. Meanwhile, the people who learned to witness without judging kept getting wider, more flexible, more capable of navigating complexity without breaking. The frequency you broadcast is the frequency you inhabit. Every judgment is a room you've chosen to sit in, and the door to that room locks from the inside, which means the key has been in your pocket the entire time.